So we've got the initial problems here. These all might have subsided. You've got the divorce, you've been paying a lot more attention to your diet, you've got yourself a book, you're following the Palm Beach diet or the Atkins diet, or whichever one suits you most that you've picked up. The backache's still there a bit, but not much. The relationship stress improved. You're not in education anymore, so you've managed to get rid of that stress, but you're still feeling really tired and really run down. Now the reason for that is because these stresses you might be able to tick these off. Not a problem, not a problem, kind of little bit of a problem, not a problem, not a problem. But in the meantime, because there's been so little of the recovery side of things being produced in the body, these issues have all cropped up. The symptoms have started to increase, the digestion is not firing on all cylinders, so you're not now taking that much nutrition out of your food to fuel your body. So consequently it becomes very difficult for your body to produce the energy it needs. Your ability to eliminate toxicity, fecal matter, all that sort of stuff in the body that's got to get out, because your body's got waste products, you've got to get it out. And when that stays in the body rather than being eliminated, that's really tiring, that's really stressful to the body. Your body can start firing off in all kinds of bizarre directions, and so things like getting out of a chair hurt where they never hurt before. Things like eating wheat or eating carrots or chicken seem to be causing a problem, and we're not quite sure why. So you can pick up food intolerance problems. When your digestion's not working very well, when you're not eliminating stuff very well, you leave your body open as you come down the wellness scale to infestations of sort of non-friendly organisms. So you're open to parasites, fungal overgrowth, bacteria that you don't really want in your system, and they become really hard work. That's kind of like having a building or having a house where you don't live in it anymore, and you know you've not lived in it for sort of 18 months, and it's kind of getting a bit tired, and the guttering needs tweaking, and there's a bit of a leak in the roof, and the walls want painting, and the garden needs sorting out, and you turn up with all your tools one day to really sort it out, and only to find the squatters have moved in. And now everything becomes 10 times the problem, because whenever you try to do some work on the house, the squatters destroy the good work that you've done. And because you've turned up and disturbed the squatters, they might fire off somewhere else as well in the meantime. So when you get these chappies moving in, it becomes really, really hard work. So if we come back to our wellness meter, which was our mark out of 10 scale, we've got kind of, this is going to be normal function, as we've said. Here, the watchword for this bit where you're producing more stressor hormones than you would normally do, this is where you're wired. Okay? Now, cortisol is a natural anti-inflammatory. It's a natural painkiller, and it'll give you a natural high. So whilst the cortisol levels are so high in your body, you're probably going to feel more accomplished and sexier and more powerful and more virile and more potent than you ever have done before. You've got all these stresses going on in your life, and you're coping with them really well, and holding down a job, and still going to the gym, and doing this and doing that, and you've taken on the educational course, yada yada yada. As this starts to come down, this section here we would call wired and tired. And when you get over here, this is just tired, baby. Okay? Now the issue is, this keeps on going to a point. Because what you can see from this curve is naturally it doesn't go up, it just keeps going down. And when you go below that black line, that is a 1 to a 0 out of 10 on the wellness meter. So that is RIP. So here we've got a 10 to about a 7. Now as this declines, we're looking at a 6, 5, 4, this stage you're about a 3, 2 and 1. And that can last quite a while on the wellness meter. This isn't going to feel like you're declining and decreasing in terms of health and vitality, because cortisol is the natural painkiller, it's the natural anti-inflammatory, and it'll give you that natural high. So you feel great for a while, really revved up, really excited, really ready to go, kind of living off the stress, a bit hyperventilating if you like. And it's as it comes down that we start to feel really, really tired and start to pick up these symptoms. And the net result is that the relationship between our stressor hormones and our recovery hormones keep everything in balance. And when those stressor hormones get too high and the recovery hormones drop too low, that plays a really big role in things like our ability to regenerate proteins in our body and regenerate muscle mass, our ability to keep our musculoskeletal system healthy. So often long-term chronic back pain and long-term musculoskeletal injuries are associated with adrenal fatigue. It affects our digestive tract, so your ability to get nutrition out of your system is impaired. It affects your elimination, as I've said. So you can see that how all of these systems that should be working really well in your body, they're all now taking a hammering because they're all dependent on that relationship between stressor hormones and recovery hormones. So if you've had a label attached to you like chronic fatigue or ME or fibromyalgia, MS, something like that, take into consideration this process in the body. You might not have considered it before, and nobody might have mentioned it to you before. Adrenal fatigue is heavily associated with any long-term condition, very heavily associated with any long-term condition. And it becomes very, very difficult for you to regain your health without addressing this issue of adrenal fatigue. Because as you can see, so many other mechanisms in your body are impaired because of adrenal fatigue. You can't take a pill to solve an MS problem. I'm using a fairly trite example there. I know there isn't a pill to take for MS because the body needs nutrition from food. It needs a good night's sleep, and if your gut is affected and is active during the night, you're going to suffer from restlessness and poor quality sleep. You need to be well hydrated. Your body needs to be able to cope with that. Your body needs to be able to detoxify itself for you to be healthy. All these things need to operate at a subclinical level for you to be healthy. So you can see that when we talk about the wellness scale, we're dropping below a 3 out of 10. But here's your 3 out of 10. All of this stuff is pretty normal stuff that just happens in our lives. Poor diet, dehydration, relationship issues, getting an education, having a boss that's a bit of a nerd or a bit of a geek, a bit of an idiot that's putting too much pressure on you. They're all fairly normal subclinical things. These are not diseases necessarily that cause this problem, although illness could be one of those things. And that's what we do here. That's what I work on with people, is use a few lab tests to get a good assessment of what's going on in the body and find exactly where you are on this curve, how much cortisol your body's producing in a day. And we work on a number of the different factors that could be either the stresses that have cropped up here or some of the stresses here that still exist to have you rebuild your health over a period of time. We do it in a very supportive way. Like I've said on some of the other videos, you're the client, you're the important person in this, and we'll get our heads together and work on some of the stuff that's really important to you, where we can make a really